Hello everyone, Storm 101 here. Today we'll be having an update on which is now Tropical Storm Cristobal, and earlier it was a tropical depression since it's been on land in Central America and in Mexico for a while. It seems like it's now getting back some strength. It's now a tropical storm again. We also got severe weather to talk about with a system and across the northern plains. The northern plains is going to start to get active for the next couple of days. But let's first get started with the tropic side of things. Christobal is still on land currently, but the National Hurricane Center, they probably had an observation. It's right now at 40 miles per hour, so it's right now a very weak tropical storm. We do expect this to strengthen as it kind of gets onto land, and we pretty much know where this thing is going to be going. The landfall is looking to be Louisiana, which is not good for some of those areas, especially for New Orleans. Looking like a lot of rain is possible. Pressure is at 1,000 millibars. It is starting to move. So it's moving north at 12 miles per hour. Excuse me. But let's click on this here and let's take a look at their forecast here. So they're looking at this to be staying as a tropical storm. It does have a chance of becoming a Category 1 still. There's now tropical storm warnings just out issued. There was a tropical storm watch earlier on this side, but now there's a tropical storm warning. You do have tropical storm watches anywhere from like a Mobile, Alabama, through the Mississippi coast into Louisiana. It doesn't really quite reach stuff in Charles in here. I forgot what the name of that city is, but not quite there yet. But we do have tropical storm watches in place for these areas in here. Anywhere from Alabama into Mississippi into Louisiana. If we go to the rainfall forecast from the Weather Prediction Center, there could be quite a bit of rain for the New Orleans region. Talking about 6 to 10 inches of rainfall possible. Also indicating there probably be 6 to 7 inches of rain, which we'll be taking a look into that in just a moment. But there could be a lot of rain as far north as Arkansas, even into portions of Illinois, with 4 to 6 inches of rainfall with the system here. Now, we're going to have to watch the eastern edge of this system because there could be some severe weather associated with this here, especially from the malls that have been really starting to get my attention into that. And there is indeed storm surge watches issued in here. You have storm surge watches for the Louisiana coast right over here, even for portions of Mississippi. Not anywhere yet for at least for portions of the panhandle of Florida, not even for Alabama yet, but we should start to see those storm surge watches to come in very soon. There is storm surge watches just south of Tallahassee and west of Gainesville. It's getting close to Tampa, but we're going to see how this is going to be playing out here in a little bit. We can actually zoom in, and it includes like Gulfport, Mississippi. We kind of move on down the road here. We doesn't. It's not picking up a lot of cities. It's Pensacola, Panama City, and Mobile. Those areas are not in a storm surge watch yet. I believe they should be in a storm surge watch and in a little bit, at least for today. Wind speed probabilities. And as you can see here, there's now a 70-80% chance for tropical storm force winds. Really just in the Gulf of Mexico, but for Louisiana, it's right now at a 30 to 40% chance. We do expect this percentage to go higher as as we start to gain some confidence and as it kind of moves closer to Louisiana. It might even get Mississippi too. So really, those are the two states to watch. Texas, you're not much of a threat anymore. Probably at least for the east, very far eastern portions of Texas, probably ought to watch. But really, the rest of Texas, you're not under the gun for it. Like Houston is not under the gun, like we said early on. They do not have a percentage for hurricane force wind probabilities at this time. Oh yeah, by the way, I have not made a forecast for this video. For that reason, really, it's because I highly agree what the National Hurricane Center is showing. If I made a forecast, it would just look like this. So that's why I did not make a forecast. If you do agree with the Hurricane Center, it's not really much of a point of making your own forecast if you agree with something here. So here's something here that's new. This is experimental, so this is pretty brand new. Uh, so this is the storm surge forecast, at least for the peak, 2 to 4 feet around nearby Grand Isle, Lake Pointing. I can't pronounce some of these. Mobile Bay, Pensacola Bay is 4 to 3 feet. So looks like it picks back up again between Indiana Pass and uh, Aripeka. I cannot pronounce these, so my apologies on that. 2 to 4 feet. That's where we have some of the storm surge watches in place, but I think we can see the storm surge probably start to increase a little bit here. And it even goes all the way down to Marco Island. At Tampa Bay, it's 1 to 3 feet. So we're going to keep an eye on this. This is the Weather Prediction Center's outlook here for day 3. As of right now, they got a slight risk for southeastern Louisiana and southern Mississippi at this time. So that's for the flash flooding potential. So let's move on to some model data here. So this is the European model. It's a little faster. It's actually kind of running this area here over whatever town that is to be in Mexico. So it'll go over the waters later tonight. So this thing here will start to move. Seems like I stay stationary for a moment over Friday night. Here's Saturday. You start to get the outer bands of the system here to come in into the coastlines here. See, there's a few thunderstorms, showers starting to enter New Orleans and Mobile. Here's 10 o'clock. It really starts to slow down a little bit. But some models are starting to show this might be getting a little bit better organized. If that's the case, then this could be a little bit stronger. At this point, it has 42 mph winds, but that's pretty much done from the European model. If you want to look at wind gusts, showing 63 miles per hour at max, but really you have to look for sustained winds. Here's 4 o'clock. We'll start to zoom in here. You start to get some wind at Panama City, Crestview, Mobile, in New Orleans, for places like that. And here's Sunday. You really start to get some strong winds on some of these islands here, 50 mph winds. Wind gusts could be approaching 70 miles per hour, which is about hurricane strength there, at least for wind gusts. So 50 miles per hour. Since this is kind of underdoing it, I think this could be more of 60 miles per hour when it gets on land, 60, 65, which is very close to Category 1 hurricane strength there. If we turn on the rainfall here, you can see all this heavy rain coming onto shore for New Orleans. Here's 2 o'clock in the morning. It really starts to gain intensity. Looks like about inch of rain per hour. Here's 10 o'clock. Here's It's really kind of a closed off low here. It gets into Arkansas Monday evening. Kind of hits Arkansas there. Kind of moves to the east now. This is where things start to get interesting here. We have a cold front that's going on right here. You got a low here, so there's a trough coming in. This thing is going to get sucked into the trough. But the areas I really want to pay attention to, these areas right in here for some severe weather potential here. Got your low pressure system here. It's 10 o'clock in the morning, so at this point the atmosphere is not really that charged. It is pretty warm in Louisville at this point in Nashville. But you do have some thunderstorm activity going on here, and these storms here can be rotating. So this is something we're going to really keep an eye on. And instability is the one to really watch for. Here's the lightning flash intensity going later in the day. It's actually really picks up by Oklahoma and Arkansas. Turn back on rain and thunder. Seems like it really starts to dissipate in these areas in here, but you can tell here there's quite a bit of instability nearby this low. 5,000 by Arkansas versus the GFS, however, it's pretty similar. So, but really on the eastern side of the low pressure systems, the areas to watch for really the better chance for the tornado threat. And here's the GFS here. It's actually got a complex of thunderstorms in southern Indiana and Kentucky. I think this is a little bit better accurate, in my opinion here. I think there's definitely a moisture in place for this here. Here's the humidity levels if you guys are interested. 94%, so it's definitely pretty humid, which that means there'd be higher dew points in those regions in there. So really, I think overall, at max for the strength forecast, which I did not make one, which I could talk to you guys to it. Of, I think there's a 60% chance of this getting into a Category 1 hurricane. Now, I was forecasting a Category 1 hurricane a few days ago. Now I backed that off more to a strong tropical storm. But this thing still has a chance for a Category 1 hurricane. It's not too bad, but it's whatever. But let's look into the rainfall here. So this is the European model. Really, the biggest threat for this system is going to be the rainfall, showing 10 inches of rain in between New Orleans and Mobile, kind of nearby Gulfport. Hattiesburg, 6 inches. I know some of these areas here in the springtime got hit by some violent tornadoes in that region. And it doesn't really stop there. You can see the swath of heavy rain here that's going through these areas here, 5 inches. And even up into Iowa too. So there could be a lot of rain coming for those areas. This is a GFS that's not as high res, but it does show most of the rainfall to be in these areas here, about 5 inches of rain. So again, it's not really that high res, so I think it'll be showing a little bit higher. Yeah, 7 inches of rain. It is a lot of rain, so in my opinion, the biggest threat is going to be some gusty, strong winds, and even for a lot of rain. Storm surge, not too big of a deal, but I haven't taken a look into the waves here. I almost forgot. Let's move on to 5 o'clock here. Let's actually pay attention to the shoreline here. As you can see here, could be up to 5 feet in a few areas, 8 feet. So pretty high waves, and this way can lead to some storm surge here. 11 feet, 10 feet. When you get pretty close to the shoreline, yep, there are going to be some pretty high waves out there. Here's 10 o'clock. Keeps on getting even higher right over here. 17 feet, but really on shore it's about 7 to 11 feet. Here's 6 o'clock. Definitely need to watch this here. There's going to be some ways they'll be able to make it pass through some of these islands here, which is pretty hard to see. But really inland here, it's not as bad, but I'm sure it'll be a little bit higher right in there. And again, it seems like the max height of the waves hitting into some of these islands in here look to be probably maxed at 12 feet. Let's look into the GFS here. So let's go 6 o'clock. See around Mobile, it's a little bit different. Mobile's getting some hard hit with 9 feet. Back this up a little bit, gets a little higher, so definitely really need to watch this fairly closely with this here. So really, uh, the waves is going to be a big concern. I mean, 10 feet high waves is pretty high waves, gotta say, pretty tall waves. But that's it from the tropical side of things. Let's move on to the severe weather. So we have a slight risk for severe storms across central and southeastern Arkansas, western Tennessee, northern Mississippi, and northern Louisiana. There's an ongoing MCS in some of those areas in there. It's kind of falling apart. At least that's the last time I've taken a look onto the radar. You can also notice there's four other areas of marginal risks. There's one by the Great Lakes, another one in the Mid-Atlantic, one by the Four Corner States, and the Northern Rockies and Northern Plains. Not too big of a deal. Things are to change tomorrow. There's an enhanced risk for severe storms, anywhere from northwestern Nebraska into South Dakota, and lasting it to southwestern North Dakota. The tornado threat's there. This is 5%. Damaging winds should be the primary threat. The significant area means there could be winds over 70 or 75 miles per hour, which is pretty strong. There can also be some significant hail, 2 inches in diameter or bigger hail with that hatched area. So definitely need to watch for that. It's not over yet. Here's day 3. Another enhanced risk for severe storms. Anywhere from northern South Dakota into North Dakota and even to a far northwest corner of Minnesota. And it's also hatched in there as well, probably for damaging winds and large hail again. And let's go ahead and take a look at that. You can also notice there's your Christobal starting to show up here, march of the risk across southeastern Louisiana, southern Mississippi, into the panhandle of Florida, and far southern Alabama. So we're only going to focus on day 2 and 3. So this is the HER version 4, and this is recently updating. So this is brand new. As you can tell here, later tomorrow, see some pretty big time thunderstorms, definitely some Boeing segments going on there. And we're going to take a look to a different view, but we do not have any soundings for this. We'll be able to take a look to the surface-based cape, see how much instability is that near the surface. And as you can see here, oh boy, it's pretty high up in these regions in here. I mean, 18, 19. It doesn't really show any storms in that area, which is good news, but there could definitely be some spin-up tornadoes along this line. You can tell there's a little bit of hooking right here. Probably better chance for tornadoes will be in there if that verifies. But let's take a look into a different model. Um, yeah, we're not going to get that far. So let's move on to the 12Z run. As you can see here, later in the day on tomorrow, there's a pretty good coverage of rain earlier in the day, but then you can see those storms really start to blow up. An area to concern here, it's going to be this complex of thunderstorms that can really change everything with the forecast, because it can really calm down bring down the instability in the atmosphere, but things like those storms could survive through that. You can see it can mainly be a damaging wind event. And here's the next day here. It's shown to be a little bit further south than what the SPC has it. And again there, you can see some pretty big thunderstorms there, even for a couple of supercells there. There's one up here and one down here. And we actually do have soundings for this, so we'll be taking a look into that. We'll also take a look to the 180 millibar mixed layer cape in the shear too. So as you can see here, very high numbers here, but again, doesn't really show much of any storm activity except for that complex of storms. That's what we're gonna watch for. So the environment is pretty favorable for supercells. There could be a cap there, but we'll see. This here will tell us, and yeah, there's quite a bit of cape there, 6100 cape. This is actually maxed out with the affected layers. It's definitely showing for the chance of some strong tornadoes. But really the main thing to look into is this photograph here. There is some curvature to it. Looking from an airplane looking down towards the atmosphere, it definitely looks like a rotating atmosphere. You do have some wind direction and height going on here. Somewhat. And you also do have some low level shear to deal with. And there's even some strong winds at the surface too. So it's definitely a pretty good environment for some supercells, definitely. And it did show a lot of cape 6100. So let's take a look at the mixed layer cape. And here's Saturday. You can see there's a this is probably a front here, but quite a bit of cape along that front. And kind of going in onto the next day here, still a lot of cape along that front. There's not really a lot in general, though in some of these areas in here, there could be some storms in that area in there, which I actually forgot to show you guys the next day. So there's day number 1, here's day number 2. So definitely a favorable environment for supercells across the northern plain. So we really have to watch this very closely. So there's definitely a chance for a very large hail, strong damaging straight line winds, and even further chance for a couple tornadoes. And with this case right here, it is showing a cap, so not really a favorable environment for supercells there. But that is definitely possible for capping. Um, if a cap stays there all day, that will completely bust the forecast. Uh, But anyways, guys, this is all I got for you guys today. Hope you guys enjoyed this update. If you guys did like this update video, hit that like button. If you really do like my channel, hit that subscribe button. Hit the bell notification so you never miss an upload. If you guys got questions about this, you can put in the comment section down below. I'll answer you guys' questions. I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.